That Bella fella. In November 2007, I got a fateful phone call from my good friend Emily. She is one of those dear souls who love to put people together and make things happen. She and her husband Craig and their 4 kids travel all over the world on their boat Steadfast and are constantly impacting people's lives in wonderfully special ways. So when Emily calls, I know something's up. Kath, she began, we're having a screening of this awesome new movie called Bella. Have you heard of it? Yeah, I remembered. I've been seeing some ads for it on TV. You mean that guy with the long beard? Uh-huh, she said, and she went on to invite us to Florida, where she was going to be screening the film. Unfortunately, I was recuperating from foot surgery and wasn't up for walking, much less flying. Then here's the number of the producer, Sean Wolfington, she insisted. Call him and he'll come to your house with Eduardo the star, and you can have a screening of your own. There's something about Emily that makes you do exactly what Emily tells you to do. Just ask her husband, Craig. So I called Sean on a Friday, and by Monday, he and Eduardo Verostegui were at our house in Connecticut with about 20 invited guests on their way over. Now, Emily had told me that Bella was amazing, but she neglected to warn me that Eduardo is the most beautiful man on the planet. He is called the Mexican Brad Pitt, but that is a compliment to Brad Pitt, believe me. Frank had welcomed them and sent them to our guest suite to get ready, while I was over in the other side of the house preparing for the party. I hobbled up the stairs in those unbelievably ugly post-surgery black booties they make you wear and knocked on the door to greet them. Sean opened the door, and I was surprised by how young, tall, and handsome he was. He could have been the star of the movie himself. And then Eduardo came out, and I thought I would faint. I'm not kidding you. I've met many gorgeous, gorgeous people in my life, but for sheer physical perfection, Eduardo takes the prize. Then he spoke with that Latin accent, and I pretty much had to pack it in. Now, most of the guests were very sophisticated, seen it all, done it all kind of people. Well, they'd never seen Eduardo, let me tell you. Every last woman made pretty much a complete fool of herself, and the men weren't much better. Eduardo handled all the adoration with extraordinary graciousness. I guess he's been insanely gorgeous since birth, and he's gotten used to it. Even Frank, who is no slouch in the looks department, said, he's too pretty to be a boy. You gotta love Frank. Well, the evening was a smash. Everybody loved the film, and it was hard to get those women out of my house. But by then, it had been decided that Eduardo would stay on a few days so I could help get some publicity for Bella through my media contacts. I had more fun standing at my front door as our guests left, taunting them with, Eduardo's sleeping at my house, na-na-na-na-na, like some stupid little kid. He ended up staying for several days, and I arranged a couple of interviews for him. We didn't have an extra alarm clock, so I had to go and wake him up every morning. I literally had to pray for strength climbing those stairs to heaven. But it turns out that, amazingly, once you get to know Eduardo, it's impossible to lust after him, because he is so spiritual, so downright unearthly, that it's almost like lusting after an angel. He even wears angel cologne. In a nutshell, here's his story. Born in a small Mexican town, raised by loving Catholic parents, he joins a boy band when he's 18 called Cairo and becomes an instant sensation. Girls mob him. He goes on to star in those telenovelas on Mexican TV and becomes an even bigger star. Now it's women who mob him. He leads the life of a rock star with all the accompanying excesses. He moves to Hollywood to become a movie star. He finally falls on his knees one day in repentance before God and makes a promise that he will never again use his talents in any way that offends his family, his God, or his race. Now, this really limits one's show business opportunities. Can you imagine going to your agent and telling him, look, I really want to work, but I won't do nudity or love scenes. I won't play a drug dealer or a Latin Lothario. I won't cuss, and I won't embarrass my mother in any way. Good luck, buddy. When I met Eduardo, he had already been celibate for 5 years. Now it's been 6. He's waiting for the woman he will marry. Obviously, he's a pretty rare species. But he practices what he preaches. He goes to Mass every day wherever he is. He even dragged me to St. Patrick's Cathedral one day before lunch. It was beautiful, but maybe Eduardo had something to do with that. I'm painfully aware that I could be Eduardo's mother, but when the inevitable tabloid headlines emerged, I've got to admit I got a kick out of them. Kathy Lee and her hot, young Latin lover. I mean, nobody believes these things, right? Right.